Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. Welcome back for another weekend edition, if you will, where I talk about things on the weekend. So typically the point of these videos and news that I missed, as I go over news that I missed during the week, that is to say Monday through Friday. I try to focus on some of the most important things that are happening in the cryptocurrency world. However, I end up missing a lot of news that's actually happening during the week. So on the weekend, I try to go over it, talk about some of the other things that are happening in the cryptocurrency world, because sometimes, even though it may not seem super important to a lot of people, things that are happening outside of the most important news, you can kind of learn a little bit about exactly how far or as wide-reaching cryptocurrency has become, or exactly where it's going. So without further ado, this was something that happened actually, a couple of days ago. A lot of articles that were floating around, and they were talking about that we can't believe it. Walmart is actually selling Bitcoin. How amazing is this? And when you go beyond the actual title of the article, you actually realize that Walmart is actually selling Bitcoin for $1. That is very true. But it's actually they're selling a piece of candy and not an actual, even like a physical Bitcoin, i.e. one that has like the little QR code on the Mac. But this is more or less the entire news. There were a lot of people who were hyping this up because a lot of people thought that Walmart were trying to get into the cryptocurrency game. One of the, how do I say this? One of the main rumors that has been floating around for quite some time, not even just for Walmart, between Amazon and Apple and Google, is that some large corporation or some large entity is going to get into the cryptocurrency space. And a lot of people, I think that we even had news a couple of months ago, someone was talking about that you can actually pay for things in Walmart with Bitcoin, but I think you need like a special app and stuff like that. Or I think they were also, that's kind of neat. They were talking about it as far as like I think you were able to use the the cryptocurrency Visa and debit cards that they have floating around, and this is why you were able to then pay in Bitcoin inside of Walmart. And this also made headlines because people were so shocked that a Visa and debit card were actually working in a Walmart. I don't know the full extent of that story. But if you happen to hear something during the week where somebody was like, Walmart now sells Bitcoin, this is pretty much what it comes down to. But I mean, realistically also, it is kind of cool, not the whole chocolate part, which is delicious, but I mean, as far as 3.5, 4 years ago, did you ever expect to see the word Bitcoin inside of a Walmart anywhere in the world? It just shows how mainstream that has become. Whenever I hang out with friends or like a new group of friends or something like that, and I make sure to throw in the word Bitcoin at some point, and it's really astonishing exactly how much everyone knows about it, even if there are a lot of people who may never buy Bitcoin and or other cryptocurrencies. Even this woman back here, she may walk down the aisle, may see the word, and they may, come to then know exactly what a Bitcoin is, or it may become part of her vocabulary. But that is the Walmart news for the week that ended up happening. And a lot of people didn't read further, and they were kind of hyping it up as if Walmart was not only accepting it, but were also selling Bitcoin, or at least fragments of a Bitcoin, for $1. Next up, this is a report about the growth of the cryptocurrency ATM markets. For a long time, we only had Bitcoin ATMs, which was fantastic. A lot of places have actually started banning them because they say that they're afraid of money laundering, and they don't know what people are doing with their money, and they can't figure out what people are doing with their money because I guess they didn't really dig that deep or whatever. Maybe they don't want to have to do as much work, whatever the case might be. But it says the crypto ATM market is expected to grow to a $144 million business by 2023. That is around 4.5 years from now. I was going to say 5 years, but this year is basically almost over. We only have a couple of months left. This is very good in that one of the main ways for actual crypto adoption is not going to, it's very unlikely that a lot of people will use Coinbase or maybe even use Binance. One of the main things that when it comes to certain areas around the world, particularly in this instance at least, when we talk, oh, there's a map right here. That is wonderful. When we talk about Africa, Africa does not have, depending on where you are in Africa, I will say it this way, depending on where you are on this continent, a lot of people do not have access to either banking, but they do have access to smartphones. And having access to smartphones sometimes can also, if you have like a mall or something like that around, you then have access to a machine, because the entire point is to be able to get to the entire world into the cryptocurrency space. But this is a problem if you are typically, we even see this in the United States, not so much in Europe. I am not an expert on Asia, so I cannot say. Typically, if you are living in a place that has a lower income, banks will typically not open up around you. And this causes a problem if you want to have a normal everyday bank account. And a lot of banks around the world are well known for this. They have openly said that poor people, that's the nicest way of really putting it from what banks say, they don't provide the banks with any money, so therefore we are not going to open in their areas. So when you have situations like that, we need things like this, especially cryptocurrency ATMs, to kind of spread more around the world. I think at the moment I know there are Bitcoin ones, definitely. There are Ethereum ones. I want to say there's some Litecoin ones. I can't even really give you a proper yes or no on that one. And I think a lot of other people over the last couple of years were also trying to continue to make like altcoin cryptocurrencies, but some of them actually, not that the coins failed, but they're just no longer even in like the top 20, top 30 list. They've kind of slunk down. I guess it could be because of the prices slipping back and forth, but I like this idea. I like the ease of it. You know, we want people to find it easy to get into cryptocurrency. We don't want everyone to have to. There's another thing that's also being banned around the world. It's called local Bitcoin. Depending on where you are in the world, it is probably still legal. Other parts are definitely illegal, simply because this once again has to do with money laundering. They had a thing a couple of months ago where there was someone in the States who got arrested because I think they said he was laundering, I think, $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and how dare he do something with his own money. And then he got arrested and he got in trouble. But with Bitcoin ATMs, you know, as there is a physical setting, and I assume probably a camera somewhere around here, depending on which mall you go to, I guess certain governments are a bit more comfortable with it. But I'm glad that this expansion is going to happen. I was not afraid because you don't really hear about Bitcoin ATMs. It's nice to hear that this expansion is going to continue so that more people will be able to have access to the cryptocurrency space, especially as we had news in the last video that Coinbase is expecting crypto to have 1 billion, that's a billion with a B, people in the cryptocurrency space within the next couple of years. So there's going to be a digital fight on our hands, and I'm pretty sure it would be kind of cool if you're actually able to walk down the street and, you know, instead of, you know, when you're looking for like an ATM or your bank branch to be able to take money out with, if you can like use your Google Maps to find like, I'm looking for a Litecoin ATM, and it'll point you to all the locations in your city. I don't know. I just kind of thought that would be kind of cool. Next up, Vitalik Buterin is in the news. There are free riders in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. At least that's the contention of a new paper shared with CoinDesk on Monday, written by Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin, Microsoft researcher Glenn Whale, and PhD of economics at Harvard Zoe Hitzig. And free riders pose a problem disguised in the paper. Free riders are people or businesses that profit from the underprovision of public goods, and on top of that, the more people these public goods benefit, the more they will be underprovided. It's an issue that plagues development even outside the cryptocurrency space, but the authors are, at least initially, focused on the idea, creates harmful incentives for the funding of blockchain projects. This kind of has to do with, I want to say, like scamming and stuff like that. This is, when it comes to funding crypto projects, people thought that ICOs would be the solution, i.e. this is a way, it's not an IPO or an initial public offering that you kind of see with stocks and stuff like that. ICOs were thought of this new way for people to be able to get the funding that they needed for their cryptocurrency projects, but because governments have been shutting them down and they don't really care for them, this is kind of where STOs kind of come in, security token offerings. And even with the entire, we need, as a crypto community, to find a solution for people to be able to get money for their projects. Because there have actually been, if you've not even paid attention, if you've been listening, you know, over the last couple of months, a lot of crypto projects and a lot of ICOs have completely faltered because no one really wants to put their money into a project when the prices of everything is going down. Everybody wants to dump their money into projects when things are going up. But this leads us to a problem where, let's say, even out of 100%, we have 80% of projects that are actually not a fraud, but they're just not as great and as wonderful as they say. there's another 20% out there that could become the next Google or the next Facebook or the next Amazon that doesn't get their funding simply because of what's actually happening. And, like I said, no one is usually interested in gambling or betting or taking loans or putting their money into a cryptocurrency project when there is no, when the prices are kind of going down. I assume within the next couple of, maybe a year, we should have some type of, not something more concrete, but governments apparently only feel comfortable with certain ways of funding. It would be nice if we found a way within the cryptocurrency community to kind of figure this out, because it's a shame if you have to, in the cryptocurrency space, if you're making a new coin, go through the SEC or the CFTC in order to allow them to prove that your thing is legitimate, in order for them to give you a thumbs up and say that you can actually create your coin. Because we've had a lot of projects during this year where the SEC, I don't know them, claimed that they rejected the request of a lot of ICOs and other projects to kind of get going, if you can believe that, because they simply said that they felt like it was a scam. They felt like something was wrong. But we've also seen them having arguments and discussions where they don't even know what a blockchain is. And that leads us to a very big problem. So this is why even we were talking a couple of weeks ago that the Winklevoss twins is at the head of a new initiative within the United States, because I believe there's also one in Europe, and I think there's one in Japan as well, where we're trying to be like self-governing, if you will, where if you are in the cryptocurrency space and you've been in the cryptocurrency space for quite some time, you are kind of the ones who make the rules, and they kind of relay back to the governments and stuff like that and kind of tell them what we've come up with. There's a problem with a lot of things in cryptocurrency, so crypto funding is just not one of them, but hopefully we can find some type of a solution, at least relatively soon and sometime in the near future. So a lot of good projects that could potentially be out there actually end up finding the funding that they need so that they can get moving. And then within 5 years, hopefully we have a flourishing, very bright cryptocurrency space. Here's a good one. So maybe it's like some information on the first couple of ones. A month after Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro announced the creation of the Petro, a state-backed cryptocurrency that would supposedly bring the country out of a 6-figure hyperinflation. It's actually even higher. They've actually passed by the 1 million % hyperinflation. The only place the Petro seems to exist is in the media. A Reuters special report recently documented the situation in the oil-rich Savannah region around the town of Atapirire, I didn't even know, which is where the bulk of the oil reserves supposedly backing the Petro are situated. Back in February, when Maduro announced the decision to create the Petro, the sparsely inhabited region around Atapirire was touted as a liquid gold mine containing proven reserves of over 5.3 billion barrels of crude oil, citing data from an independent international certification agency. As the government battled to find a way out of an economic situation, without even reading it, you kind of got it from over here. What's been happening is that the last couple of months, we've had news, not even just in the cryptocurrency world, in the traditional finance world as well, where it comes down to that the Petro, the cryptocurrency of Venezuela, was created. Apparently, people within the government said, no, this is illegal. You cannot do this to the president. The president put up a finger on his hand, one finger only, and said, no, I'm going to continue going through with this. Apparently, he created it. Some entity who no one has any idea about created it. And then over the last, let's say 3, 4, 5 months, we've had news that the president has mandated, I think, airports to use it, banks to start using it. People in cities are supposed to start using it. And it's really funny, a little bit of a backstory. I was hanging out with a friend who had a friend who's actually from Venezuela. And we were talking about, the topic for some reason amongst younger people always goes to around cryptocurrency. So we were talking about crypto. And I was like, that's really crazy. I was like, how long have you been out of Venezuela? She was like, for around 3 years. I was like, yeah, we were talking about how bad it is. And she was like, so I asked her, I was like, do you know anyone who's actually using the Petro? And she's like, what's that? And I was like, the cryptocurrency of Venezuela. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she Googled it And she started laughing. She's like, that doesn't exist, because apparently 2 of her family members are still there. Apparently this thing doesn't even exist. We've had all this news over the last couple of months that the president has been mandating people to use this cryptocurrency, and you have to use this, and this has to be done for this. And apparently we also had news that they were trading with Russia and also trading with Iran, and that the currency was flourishing and how great everything was. And then come to find out, when they ask people living there in the streets, not living on the streets, but that's kind of the situation there right now. When they're asking everyone around, how's the digital currency going? How are you liking this? No one is using it. It apparently doesn't exist, which is insane, because we've had news about this for around 7-8 months. That means over the last 7 or 8 months, all the news that we've gotten has been fake from Venezuela. Like, not even like do you get it? Like, everything that's come out of that country has completely been fake. Like, the news of people in the country having to use the cryptocurrency isn't even real. So it makes you wonder, what are people doing? I know a lot of people in the country, not even to get political, have been starting to use the US dollar as it is the more or less right now the world reserve currency. So they've been trying to find a stable currency. But apparently I think that's also becoming illegal, or it is illegal. There's some type of, I don't know the logistics of it, as I am not in Venezuela myself. I get my information in the same way you all do. If you are not in another country, I get it from the internet. I watch documentaries and try to read newspapers or things online from trusted news sources, depending on where you get your news from. And they kind of all had the exact same news that, people were trying to use other world currencies in order to be able to have something stable. And then we also had news about a month ago that has also been persisting, that people within the country have been mining Bitcoin and apparently Dash now as well, as Dash has become incredibly popular in the country because they have not free energy, but because of their position in the world, they have very inexpensive electricity. If I'm not mistaken, it has to be from solar energy, as based on their placement in the world. One can only assume. I assume it's not hydroelectric. The point is, we were talking about before, it had to be about 2 weeks ago now, and we were talking about someone said that the government cryptocurrencies are expected to fail. They're expected at some point to completely collapse, because the theory was that we're going to have a lot of other countries who are going to start coming forward saying that they have their own cryptocurrency. They're going to start trying to get their people in their countries to use the cryptocurrency. Eventually, this will all fail, as no one in the country trusts their government anymore, and they're going to start not using it. I guess that's the only way to really say it. And then this would be the precursor to people using Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum in these countries, and getting these countries to actually accept that their currencies that they made are trash. But the problem is that if we had 8 months from a year where we've gotten news that this was actually happening and going on, and people were going about their daily lives and things were getting better from the cryptocurrency that they were using, that isn't even real. I don't know what reality is anymore. It's all very, very odd. I don't know the reason for lying for that long. I'm going to say this once again. I've said this before. I wish that countries just got it together and just, used Bitcoin from the get-go. Or I understand that Bitcoin is slow. Use Dash, use Cardano, use another cryptocurrency. Do your research for like a month and a half, and then be like, okay, our currency is garbage. Let's move on to another one. But the fact that we have so much news about these other countries that are under sanctions from the United States creating their own cryptocurrencies, and probably a lot of them don't exist and aren't going to exist. I don't know what the thing is. Wouldn't it be really interesting if over, let's say, like a 2-year period, we had tons of countries who were coming forward and they were like, we are going to create our own cryptocurrency. We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to make sure that people in our country start using this as well. And then we find out after the 2-year period that the entire time that country has been mining Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this is like, they're going to tell everyone in the country to start using it. You get what I'm saying? I feel like it's a bit of a diversion. If this doesn't really exist, that is a very big problem, especially the oil reserves. It's just, lies can only go on for so long, especially when you have 1,000,000% hyperinflation. You're going to eventually be found out at some point. Someone's going to, look under the rug, and they're going to realize that the stuff that you said existed doesn't actually exist, and that is going to cause a very, 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 very big problem. Next, a little skeleton. Next up, so I'll kind of read a bit through it. EOS is going to, they're having not issues, but something is catching up to them. Compared to Ethereum, EOS seems to have scalable dApps figured out. Users of decentralized applications or dApps on Ethereum frequently chafe at the fact that any action, sending a tweet, playing a card, breeding a cat, costs money in the form of gas and it takes time as miners hash out the new state of the chain. So this is, before we even get into that, this is also been coming up the last couple of weeks as well. Not only has Ethereum been dropping in price and people have turned like their backs completely against it. I don't know, something must have happened in the cryptocurrency space in some closed meeting, or maybe over the last couple of weeks, Vitalik has just rubbed a few thousand people the wrong way. But a lot of people have been coming forward saying that they don't like Ethereum. And one of the other things that's actually happening on the Ethereum network as well, because EOS has free transactions, as far as I remember. I'm pretty sure they're free transactions. But when you have a blockchain that doesn't have free transactions, everything you do costs money. I.e., if you are, let's say someone decides to build an app on top of Ethereum and you try to send a message to someone, that costs gas or it costs money. If you try to play a card in a game, that costs gas. So that's cost, like every single action that you take is a transaction. And this is slowly but surely becoming a problem. And this is why we need Plasma and Casper and all these other things, because the idea is that once we have these implemented on the Ethereum network, the cost of transactions should be almost nothing, like one 1,000th of a cent or something like that. So like they're completely negligible. But let's move on. At first glance, EOS suffers from neither of these issues. There is no fee, yeah, there we go, to send tokens or call a dApp smart contract. And in contrast to Ethereum, even when the EOS blockchain is processing millions of transactions a day, it runs smoothly. According to the EOS white paper, these perks are likely to make the system gain more widespread adoption, and some app developers apparently spot an opportunity. For instance, Kevin Rose, the co-founder of EOS New York, a block producer and entity that performs a similar function to miners in the blockchain networks, told CoinDesk, "I'm having conversations with at least one group a week. These are the challenges we're having on and so platform. We want to come on to EOS." I was hoping it would have more information at the very beginning. The point is, but the Ethereum network is being not bet on, but a lot of people are figuring out that there are other functions within the network or within the blockchain that they can actually hoard, and they're like betting on it. So one of the things that's happening with is that in order to, if you hold an EOS token, you hold a portion of the EOS blockchain. Is when we talk about having like a coin having use, this is why EOS is very intelligent, because if you own, let's say 1,000 EOS, you then own 1,000 spaces of however many other tokens are floating around there in the EOS blockchain. But there's also something called RAM, and people are actually able to buy RAM, and you need RAM and also EOS tokens in order to be able to stake your claim or have your spot on the EOS blockchain. I.e., let's say you want to create an app and you find out that the space that, imagine like not a bedroom, like imagine a place where you need space. And in order to squeeze into that space, you need 500 EOS. You get the 500 EOS, and then you also need some RAM as part of it. People have actually been gobbling up as much RAM as possible that they can, and they're causing like a RAM shortage, which is causing an issue because the price of RAM is also going up. And we had people before who were buying this RAM when it was still fairly cheap, and they were trying to then resell it to get more EOS tokens. But what ended up happening was that the people behind EOS and also the validators on the network told everyone, they were like, stop doing this because you're just hoarding it for yourself. And they plan on continuously releasing RAM for the network so that other people can be able to create their apps and their dApps and stuff like that. But apparently people aren't listening. People still think that it just makes no sense. People are very greedy. I'm sure if you are over the age of 18, you know how humans can act right now. But what it comes down to is that it's not bad, but they've already stated that they're going to continue to release all the things besides the tokens. They're going to continue to release them into the network so that more people and developers and coders can be able to have a spot to, do what they need to do and create things on the network. But people are just still trying to acquire as many other things as possible, pretty much just betting on the future of them and then trying to sell them to other people at a much higher price. But like it ends up coming down to like people were buying it for like 18 cents or something like that and trying to sell it for 56 cents. And the developers were telling everyone else, they were like, when we release more, we're going to release so much it costs around a cent. Like, stop being speculative on something on RAM that's on the network. It's just, I think everyone, especially because, at least for me, I feel like because prices have lowered so much, that everyone is just becoming desperate and they're trying to find any random way, and that was a bad joke, in order to try and make money off of some other type of cryptocurrency project. This is something, I'm not going to get too deep into this one at all, but this is something that is very, very good. A lot of countries around the world have started coming forward stating that while they are okay with Bitcoin and Ethereum and they think they are just fine and they're not a threat to the sovereignty of the government and its people, they're okay with mining. And when it comes with mining, these governments have been coming forward and saying, it's expensive, it's draining too much electricity. We've had a couple of instances in Iceland or Greenland, one of the lands, and also in Canada, also in upstate New York, not in Mexico, anywhere in South America. I think there was a couple of problems in Asia as well, where pretty much it's taking up so much electricity. There was a mining farm somewhere in China. This had to be a while ago. And it got so large that they were actually siphoning off the energy of the farmers around them. So rural areas that already don't have a huge amount of infrastructure and or electricity were being completely drained and people were taking their resources. And what's actually happening is that a lot of places, these cryptocurrency miners, when you make a huge profit on Bitcoin, people are selling their huge profit not only to pay the taxes, if they have to pay any at all when they're mining these cryptocurrencies, but they're also doing it to buy more mining equipment. And when you have already 10,000 computers, and over the next 3 years, you have maybe 75,000 computers, these things are extremely loud. And what it comes down to is, long story short, a lot of countries and companies are trying to figure out ways to actually, which they should have done in the first place, use the natural resources of the areas where they already are, i.e. using wind farms and or solar powered, which is a very big thing that's happening across like anywhere near the equator where people are trying to mine cryptocurrencies. They're switching completely to solar powered, even in a lot of places where it's not even that sunny. I told you guys before a couple of weeks ago, there was something that was happening in the States. There's a small city somewhere in Washington, and these 40,000 people in this city have kind of banded together to mine crypto together. They have like not outhouses, but little tiny enclaves where they're also mining cryptocurrency, but they're also, you don't get much sun in the, upper west part of the States, but they were all using solar panels and they were finding it. Apparently it was also doing a pretty good job. So this seems to be the future of cryptocurrency. I think no government would have a problem with crypto mining in general if more people just got into renewable sources of energy, because realistically, I mean, they, what's the estimate right now? It's something like, I think daily Bitcoin produces enough electricity to power, I think, like entire US cities. And I don't mean like, 100,000 people, like millions of people. Like they produce an enormous amount of energy that can supply electricity for large populations of people. So when you start draining all of that and you start draining infrastructure, if you can create your own and you can use wind power, as wind is free, as is the power that we get from water and also from solar energy, this is not going to be a problem at all. I was actually hoping for some time that solar panels would get cheaper. I actually haven't checked the price in a long time. Not that you guys even need to know that. But I thought about getting into cryptocurrency mining and also just using it as like solar power, because I'm not really in the mood to get like an electric bill and it says like $600 a month. That's not what I'm about. Anyway, moving on. Next up, apparently 80% of Americans have heard of Bitcoin. Just under 50% of millennials are interested in using cryptocurrency as a primary form of payment, as opposed to the US dollar, a new survey by polling firm YouGov found. The company released the results of the latest poll on Thursday, which asked 1,200 Americans about their familiarity and interest in cryptocurrencies on the 29th and 30th of August. According to a press release, 79% of respondents have heard of at least one type of cryptocurrency, with 71% saying they have heard of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. The second best known cryptocurrency was Ether, with only 13% of respondents saying they have heard of it. If you ever want to play a game with your friends, especially when it comes to cryptocurrencies, ask them if they've probably heard of crypto. They've probably heard of more than likely Bitcoin. Everyone knows what Bitcoin is now. By the time you get to Ethereum, they always look a little shaky. And by the time you get I think a lot more people have actually heard of Ripple than actually Ethereum. I think a lot of people don't even know how to pronounce Ethereum, and that's not even a joke. If you tell them to write it down on a piece of paper and ask someone to read it, people can't get it sometimes. A lot of people have heard of Ripple. Barely anyone has heard of Litecoin. And by the time you get to like Dash and Monero, they usually are kind of flip-flopping. This is only going to continue. It's great that even 80% have heard of Bitcoin. This is what I was talking about with the entire Walmart thing. It's nice to hear that people understand, not even understand, no one knows what a blockchain is, that they at least have a bit of awareness as to what Bitcoin is. It's going to be, if we enter a world or a future where Bitcoin becomes one of the major cryptocurrencies or currencies in general in the entire world, and so many people have not heard of it, it'd be interesting, 8, 9, 10 years of Bitcoin ends up becoming something that these people have only just heard about and they're not really into it. And that's have my own ideas about the future of Bitcoin and where it's going to kind of go. But this is nice to hear that there was also another poll recently that, oh gosh, what was it? It was something about how many people I think actually own cryptocurrencies in the States. It wasn't like 25% or something like that. And I think the younger you get, the more you've heard of it and the more cryptocurrency that you actually own and the more that you actually plan on acquiring. I guess it has something to do with being familiar with technology and or not being afraid of digital things. I am going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say there's probably not a lot of like 95-year-old people who even care what a Bitcoin is, nonetheless care about a decentralized world and or future. Point is, this is nice to hear. It's obviously going to continue as time goes on, as it's expected by the time we get to around 2021, 22, 23, that crypto, or in general Bitcoin, will have become so mainstream that every single person will know what it is. And we've also had a lot of the predictions that by what did that guy say? By 2021, 2022, he said if you go into a Starbucks and you're not using Bitcoin, that people will laugh at you. Don't think that's going to be that possible, but it could be. No one knows exactly what the future is going to hold for cryptocurrencies. Next up, kind of what we have spoken about a little bit before in a recent interview with Cointelegraph. Brian Kelly, who is the co-founder and CEO of digital currency investment firm BKCM LLC, said that ICOs are around to stay, but with some changes. Kelly, who is also a crypto analyst and regular contributor to CNBC, sat down with Cointelegraph to discuss various aspects of the crypto industry. Kelly stated that he sees blockchain and cryptocurrencies as early stage technology, saying as example that Apple founder Jeff Bezos probably could not imagine his online bookstore turning into a major video streaming platform. He added, I'm not going to really go into it. The point is, ICOs are, a lot of people think that ICOs are dead or that they're going to die, that they're going to continue on this downward trend that we've seen over the last couple of months, simply because a lot of people have not lost faith in them, but they became popular at the wrong time. Everything that was hyped up last October, November, December has kind of faltered because of the cryptocurrency prices constantly going down. And as such, ICOs are kind of one of the victims of this entire thing. This is why we've spoken about before. STOs or security token offerings, because the governments have a problem with ICOs and they cannot track sometimes who's even dealing with the ICOs, or even with like airdrops. Governments have a problem with all these things because you would typically, or rather you would probably have to sign up with the government to even tell them that you're going to be performing an airdrop, as you plan on dropping potentially millions of dollars on people across the entire world. So when it comes to ICOs, it's believed, a lot of people believe that they're dead, but Brian Kelly says that he thinks that just being able to say that you have a white paper and, my coin is better than yours and my coin does this and my coin is faster than this, which I warned a lot of people about. I hope you all listened towards the beginning of the year. A lot of people were asking me to talk about different cryptocurrencies and crypto projects and ICOs that were coming out. And you may have noticed, if you were one of those people asking me to do that, I did not respond because a lot of these ICOs are now dead. ICOs, a lot of, it was like 85% of ICOs were scams or something like that, or some high ridiculous number. No one knows what the future is going to hold for ICOs, but a lot of people believe that this is just going to switch over into something that the government is more easy with, but even a lot of, I think it mainly comes down to the US that's having these like problems. A lot of even the other SECs, they have a problem with ICOs, but they don't tend to have a problem with airdrops. But that's just kind of how how things are. I always feel that a lot of other countries have been like mimicking what they think that the US is going to do or what the US has already stated, as opposed to like making their own thing. And even we also had the news that a whole bunch of the other, the G20 countries were all trying to come to a consensus and give us solid rules on exactly what everything was at the exact same time between all the different countries. I guess maybe they want to have like an even framework should they find reason to find that someone has been scamming and or doing something illegal outside of the cryptocurrency space or even within the crypto sphere. Next up, not going to go too deep into this. Uzbekistan is probably a very intelligent country. And I said before, my personal belief is that there's so many countries right now who are not paying attention to crypto. They don't care about crypto. They think crypto is a fad or that it's fake, or their central banks are telling them to completely steer clear. And a lot of, not that even completely aside, the countries that are accepting it are telling people that, you can't own this much. You can't do this with your crypto. You can't do this with that. And even if you do decide to do something with it, especially if you are selling it, a lot of other countries have been coming forward and saying that you owe like 49% tax. You owe 25% tax, you owe so and so and so. And I said before, if you are one of the few countries that comes forward and tells people that you are going to have tax benefits or that you are going to have very low taxes, especially even though Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, I think they have their own tax bracket for cryptocurrency. And I think it comes down to like 4% as opposed to somewhere else. I think like New York has like a 29% tax or something like that. So this is why a lot of people are moving to these countries. Point is, if you are intelligent enough and even if crypto doesn't make it over the next couple of years, your country will be able to benefit simply because you are allowing people to do what they want in their in a space that is comfortable for them, and you kind of not giving them a lot of restrictions. Even so many countries that have been allowing crypto have also made this like sandbox thing where governments look over your shoulder at every single moment to see exactly what you're doing with your coin, with your project. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them are also keeping tabs and listening on phone calls, depending on where you are in the world. It's just very ridiculous. So very good job to Uzbekistan for being smart enough to try and lure in not even crypto exchanges. I'm pretty sure it also goes to like crypto companies as well. People who are creating ICOs. Like none of this stuff is inherently evil. And then when you force people to different parts of the world where they only have like limited amount of space to be able to do their stuff, very good job on this country for figuring out that there's a lot of money to be made in the cryptocurrency space. And I hope, I don't know the politics of this country, but I hope if they are a nice country, never been there, that they do find a way to flourish from this and that they even become one of the main leaders in the cryptocurrency space. So this is, I'll read a little bit and then I'll kind of explain the purpose of this. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, or the SEBI, organized tours to other countries for its officials to study cryptocurrencies and ICOs according to its 2017-2018 annual report. The Indian regulator reports that authorities have already undertaken study tours, in particular to study cryptocurrency and ICOs at Japan's Financial Services Agency, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, and the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority, or FINMA. The overseas study trips reportedly took place to help officials engage with the international regulators and gain deeper understanding of the systems and the mechanisms. The report is not the first time that Indian authorities have expressed their interest in the way other countries approach cryptocurrency. For instance, the Reserve Bank of India, or the RBI, also published its annual report in 2017-2018, in which the authorities draws attention to different types of crypto regulation worldwide, focusing on Japan and South Korea in particular. Let's hope they actually take a note from these two countries. So India, over the last couple of months, has they told us before that they were going to give us proper, I'm not in India, so it's not me, that they were going to give their people, or people in India, proper news and regulations as to exactly what cryptocurrencies are, how they were going to be treated, what ICOs were, what coins were not even legal and illegal, more like what the status of them was, i.e. is this money? Is it a security? Is this a commodity? Am I going to be taxed when I buy, trade, or sell this? If I buy a cup of coffee or something on the street, am I also going to have to pay taxes on that? Because there are countries in the world, if you pay for something with cryptocurrency, you're supposed to write this down on a piece of paper or somewhere on your phone and then tell the government that you bought something on October 14th, 2017 at this time and how much the transaction was. And they're supposed to then tax you on it. It just kind of insane. So India, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not mistaken, India has said that this year, it was like sometime in the summer, that they were going to give proper ruling on the cryptocurrency space. They have not done so. And they also said that they were going to get, I think it's the 30th of September, if I'm not mistaken. This is why September has been like one of those significant months. We've been talking about it for quite some time. This is like the end of the line apparently for them. They said, definitely September 30th, we're going to give the world information on exactly what we think about cryptocurrencies. But this comes down to this entire topic is that apparently they've been sending people to other countries for the last year and a half, more or less, trying to figure out exactly what cryptocurrencies were or are or what they're going to be. And Japan and South Korea are actually two of the friendly, like friend enemy kind of thing. So Japan I think accepts crypto as legal tender, if I'm not mistaken. South Korea has stated that they're not going to ban it, but they're going to make sure that the crypto exchanges and other people in the industry follow the rules. So they're very nice places to kind of match your thing with. I'm glad that they didn't go, at least as far as we know, to any other of the less favorable crypto countries in the world. But hopefully this has all been leading up to them trying to figure out exactly what cryptocurrencies are, because like I've said before, we've noted that Ripple is already in the country. They have not kicked the people from Ripple out. Ripple says that they already partnered with not only India, but also banks in India. So I assume crypto's definitely going to be allowed. But it feels like, at least now to me, that they were trying to figure out the extent of what they should do with it, exactly how things should be taxed and how things should be regulated and how things should be seen. Because India is one of those countries that they are trying to have a relatively strong hold on their country. We're not going to get into politics. If you have the chance, as always, watch a documentary on India, like recently, as far as like tech-wise and especially like with the internet. A little hint as to what's going on in the country. But hopefully we have some type of good news, because India has a lot of people and a lot of people who are allowed to then legally get into cryptocurrency, even if they all buy fractions of cryptocurrencies. It is going to add up to a lot of money that could be flowing into the cryptocurrency space. But the news is that they've been apparently sending officials around the world to study crypto, and let's hope that they have studied the right things. Next up, the wink of eye are in the news once again. Crypto exchange Gemini founders Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss have won a patent for a cold storage method involving air-gaping computers, geographically remote vaults, plastic cards, and possibly papyrus. That is ridiculous. Filed under the brothers firm Winklevoss IP Limited Liability Corporation, the document, published on Tuesday by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, outlines a plan to develop a network of computers capable of generating accounts for storing cryptocurrencies or cryptocurrency-related exchange-traded products, or ETPs. As part of a security measure, the computers would be isolated except when necessary to transfer assets, essentially acting as a cold storage device. The computers would generate these keys for new accounts, which would then be segmented into parts and written onto an external memory drive, such as a flash drive, a CD, DVD, or written down physically onto a laminated card, sheet of paper, piece of plastic, or even papyrus, according to the document. That, I think I would go for that one. If I had the option to where to put my the key for my crypto account, I think that would be probably the coolest. Can you imagine walking into a bank, asking to go to your vault, and then you have, you take out a piece of papyrus that looks aged, and you have your, anyway, I watch too much TV. This is what's happened this week for the Winklevoss brothers. They're always in the news. They're always trying to get some type of new patents for something that they're trying to get. Apparently, a large part of the things that are patented, if you will, never even go to production. But I have a feeling they're going to, maybe not papyrus, but they're definitely going to try and start to do something like this, because the Winklevoss twins have noted before that they're trying to get into the custody game. And the entire air gaping computer thing is just another level. But them, Coinbase, Goldman Sachs, I don't think ICE has also said something about custody, but this is going to become a very major thing. You have to understand. Imagine, okay, think of it this way. Imagine 2-3 years ago, you got into Bitcoin. Bitcoin was $200 and you got lucky enough and you were like, I'm going to buy 5 Bitcoin, came out to $1,000. And then we enter a world where Bitcoin is worth $1 million a piece. You now have $5 million that's potentially sitting on your laptop or on a key somewhere in your fridge. Where do people keep their keys? Storage is going to become a very big thing in the future, especially when crypto reaches these new astronomical heights. So being able to, not even that aside, but being able to tell, being able to tell rich people that right now, because we know a lot of people, if you look at some of the, we don't know the exact over-the-counter numbers when people are buying cryptocurrencies, but typically we're told that, there are people, rich people obviously, who are buying like $50 million of a coin at one time, where they, some entity bought $200 million worth of this coin over the last 2 years. You need storage solutions, and realistically, if you have like $50 million worth of digital numbers on your computer or on a chip or anywhere else, you are going to be desperately looking for someone to be able to hold on to them, because, money, that's just pretty much how it goes. Next up, this was so there are a lot of, first of all, this was earlier this week. We had a company called Status, who apparently actually isn't even a company, no one could find out information about them, who came forward and said that according to their estimates and their numbers, Monero and Bitcoin are going to probably be the only cryptocurrencies that are going to survive over the next 10-year period. They had XRP going to zero. They had Ethereum staying at, what is it like? They said within the next 10 years, Ethereum, the maximum it would hit would be 400. They said Litecoin, I think, is going to only go to like $80 over the next 10 years. But they said the Monero, I think, was going to hit like $18,000 or something ridiculous like that. When that news came out, without even really, if you have a report that says that Ethereum isn't going anywhere, that says that EOS and that XRP are going to ascent in 2019, and it has Monero and Bitcoin as the only gainers over a 10-year period, maybe you should, back up and, just think for half a second. But this caused Monero to jump 20% in price, simply based. It wasn't even bullish sentiment. It was bull sentiment, if you understand what I'm saying. We're all adults here. People got really hyped. They pushed up the price of Monero. But even on the other side, Monero over the last couple of weeks has been receiving a large amount of hype. Simply on the entire privacy coin front. For some reason, I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm not in the privacy community when it comes to cryptocurrency, so I don't read a lot of the forums and stuff like that. But Monero has been gaining a lot of traction as far as in popularity. We have Monero, Dash, and Zcash as like the top three, at least at the moment, privacy coins that we have kind of floating around. I know there are other ones, but just for the sake of argument, we're going to talk about those three. For some reason, Dash has been picked up. The whole like Venezuela thing is not as popular as many other coins. I think if not mistaken, Snowden said that he likes Zcash. I think that was the one that he said. The point is, Monero has been slowly picking up, and a lot of people think that Monero is going to be this new amazing thing. I don't feel, me personally, that privacy coins are going to have a very large future, simply because we've seen a lot of governments calling them out by name, and that is a very, very bad thing. Governments haven't been doing this for any other coins, but they've been saying that they don't care for privacy coins because they can't track the transactions, or they're very difficult to track. But a lot of other people believe that it's exactly this that's going to propel them forward, i.e. as the prices of other coins continue to go up and governments favor other things over other ones, and they're able to track these other transactions, that it'll be the privacy coins that end up showing or putting in the most work as people try to begin using them more often in order to be able to not be tracked in a more trackable digital world. Sorry, give me half a second. I have to have a cup of tea. I've been talking nonstop. Sorry about that. That's actually pretty good. Next up, this is nice, kind of cool, different. Or maybe read the first couple lines. Blockchain can now be legally used to authenticate evidence in legal disputes in China, according to the country's Supreme Court. The court ruled, released on Friday, that take immediate effect, clarifying various issues related to how internet courts in China should view or review legal disputes. This is all happening a lot quicker than a lot of people, like I always say, have thought, or that I thought, or how I felt, or whatever the case might be. The fact that blockchain evidence is now legally binding in any country around the world is fascinatingly interesting, and it comes down to the idea of smart contracts, i.e. if I'm buying a house from you, if I'm buying a car from you, we put something onto a blockchain, or we try to execute it through the use of a smart contract, i.e. a contract that executes itself when something has been met, i.e. I send you the money through bank transfer or crypto transfer on a blockchain, and you tell me 3 weeks later that you don't have the money, and we go into court and you say, hey, I definitely sent it. So we've definitely entered a new era. There are a lot of countries, I think, who are more comfortable with, especially China. China loves blockchain. I am not in China. I don't even know what to say after that. I'm not in China. I've never been to China, but their entire thing has kind of focused around building blockchain infrastructure, and it's gotten a little crazy as they have like television shows and stuff like that, and events where they like going for like 5 or 6 hours where they tell people about the magic and how awesome blockchain is. But I guess this was kind of the next step. I'm pretty sure we're going to see this in a lot of other countries as well. A lot of other countries, especially Russia, have announced previously their intentions to even use the Ethereum blockchain. So as more laws and stuff like that end up being written on top of blockchains, I assume we're going to have a lot of instances where people are suing other people for things that are on the blockchain that everyone can readily view. And I don't know. I don't think much fraud can happen when it's written on the blockchain and millions of other people can see it, especially if a court can just look into the blockchain and they can see that the thing has actually been executed. But this is definitely a step towards hopefully a bright future. Hopefully this isn't misused, even though there are thousands of ways to kind of misuse everything. Next up, so I don't even know where to begin on this one. It says a Belgian financial watchdog has added 28 sites to a crypto scam blacklist. A lot of countries are starting to realize, or rather have been saying for quite some time, that there are a lot of crypto scams going around there. The United States also, if I'm not mistaken, they also have a website that has like blacklisted ICOs, and they kind of talk about the dangers of these and how you should stay away and how you should not be getting into them. 28 sites is kind of intense. I haven't looked into exactly what these sites are. This is something that could be good, as a lot of governments state that they do this to be able to protect their citizens and protect the people who could be dealing in these scams and stuff like that. But also, I'm afraid of entering a future where governments are able to create, let's say, even legitimate lists of things that are happening. This is a scam. This is definitely a scam. People lost millions in this. We got the money back. This was definitely a scam. And then at some point on their list, a legitimate cryptocurrency project ends up onto these blacklists, but no one disputes it because everything else in there is also a scam. So why would this one thing also be a scam? This kind of goes to what I was talking about as far as like being able to not trick the system, but things being able to be corrupted and people being able to do what they wish at any given time. I'm hoping that transparency goes through very quickly, and also consensus as well. If we have a situation where, let's say, a government starts posting that they find that there are a lot of scams on the cryptocurrency space, they have this onto a blockchain, and everyone in the country is actually able to see the blockchain as well, or what's in the blockchain, to be able to say what's actually going on, that people are probably able to dispute if something is wrong, because we've seen what's happened before when you have one entity or one structure and you give them all the power to be able to say what is right and what's wrong, that can cause a problem. But like I said, I don't know exactly what was blacklisted, and I'm not going to really go into it because it probably have really crazy, long, ridiculous names. But this is just something to make sure to look into as well. I always say, as we are in the cryptocurrency space, I think we have a right to be vigilant. If you find wrongdoing in the cryptocurrency space. Try to weed it out if you can. This also gives the cryptocurrency space a bit more legitimacy, and it also makes it safer for other people who are potentially going to be entering the cryptocurrency space over the next couple of years. Okay, so Opera was in the news earlier this week. Opera now allows users to send crypto collectibles such as crypto kitties directly from its recently announced in-browser crypto wallet, claiming the feature is a first for the industry. Although other wallets do offer collectible support, including MetaMask, the company said in a blog post today, they said, "We believe that an increasing portion of our lives moves online, so will our collections of things. As a result, users of the beta stage wallet can send their crypto collectibles to others, something it said previously required use of a digital marketplace and an exchange transaction to transfer ownership." This was something that also happened. There are a couple of browsers that are, they're like launching their own cryptocurrency wallet inside of them. I'm a little wary simply because we know from experience that a lot of things can be hacked on computers, and I'm a little wary of having my money on a browser, if that kind of makes a lot of sense. Maybe I feel like I'm too paranoid sometimes, but I would rather be overly paranoid than underly paranoid, simply because, of instances like this. But the point is that this is actually kind of cool, and I assume this will only expand a lot further as we get a lot of other projects who are creating apps and dApps and websites and stuff like that. It's believed in the cryptocurrency space that apparently because the popularity of crypto kitties completely took off, even though I think only like 300 people are using it per day around the world or something like that, which is kind of crazy. I guess a lot of people got scared off when the entire fiasco was happening and it slowed down the Ethereum network. It's believed that some type of collectible or something on a phone or some type of app will be once again what brings crypto into the forefront. And yeah, so I guess that is the crypto kitty Opera wallet news for today. I'm pretty sure over the next couple of months, especially if we get proper news about SBI and about the New York Stock Exchange and about the CBOE, and if we get like a Bitcoin ETF, I'm only going to assume that a lot more, internet browsers are going to start coming out with news that they also have some type of a cryptocurrency wallet that you can send between you and your friends, and you can do all these other things as well. But anyway, this is the news for that for today, at least, even though this was a couple days ago. I'll read a little bit. The Mega Chrome extension version 3.39 has been compromised and can now steal users' Monero in addition to other sensitive information, according to a press release on Twitter and Reddit. Mega Chrome extension is a tool that claims to improve browser performance by reducing page load times in addition to providing a secure cloud storage service. The official Twitter account of Monero posted a warning advising Monero holders to steer clear of Mega. This is more so me telling you, if you have Mega, to please watch out and pay attention. I really don't know what it is about Monero. I get it. I understand that it's one of the largest coins that we have right now. But even when we had news a couple of months ago that we had a lot of the people who were, they were stealing people's computer power inside of Starbucks and stuff like that. And everyone for some reason is trying to get as much Monero as possible. Maybe they've seen something else that I just can't see, or something about being in the future. Like I said, I get that it's a Bitcoin. I get that it's popular. I get the entire privacy thing. Like, I really understand it. But when it comes down to maybe it might just be one of the easiest or the least one of the lowest difficulties when it comes to cryptocurrency mining, because people have become obsessed with mining and stealing Monero over the last couple of months. It has to be something that's happening with the Monero team. Like, you know how there's no official insider but I guess it wouldn't be insider trading. I don't think people would be using extensions to steal Monero with not with insider trading. But anyway, my thoughts are all jumbled at this point. But the point is, this has definitely been happening. So if you are using Mega Chrome, please pay attention. Maybe use something else, because theft is getting very, very easy for a lot of people to start doing. And especially, we've also had news that there are countries that are also stealing cryptocurrencies from other people. I think a lot of people see the future prospects of exactly how much these things are going to go up in value over the next couple of years. So high-level government officials from countries which are generally considered as havens for cryptocurrency-related businesses are set to gather in Seoul this month. The agenda circles around discussions on the future of policy. Government officials from Estonia, Malta, Switzerland, Lithuania, Singapore, and the city of Hong Kong are set to meet at the Blockchain Seoul Trade Show. The event will take place between the 17th and 19th of September. I guess there's a lot of things going on right now where we have governments getting together and discussing things and holding hands and talking about the future of cryptocurrency within their country. This could be hopefully the beginning. Me thinking optimistically that it could be the beginning of regulations or finally telling people exactly what all of these things are, but it's probably just them discussing if there's been a problem in their spaces or exactly what they plan on doing. I assume there is still a lot of questions for governments floating around exactly as to what cryptocurrencies are, what they should do with them, how they should integrate them, especially if you have news about a country that has, I'm pretty sure what a lot of the buzz has to do with now is the entire New York Stock Exchange getting into cryptocurrency. I'm sure that is a major thing that's going to be discussed, because other countries are also going to start wondering, should they also do it as well? If I'm not mistaken, Switzerland's stock exchange is also getting into it. So is Germany's, and so is Jamaica. These are the only ones that we have news about right now. But my idea is that probably by, let's say, middle 2019, we're going to have news that a lot of these things are going to be launching by the beginning of 2020. So this is very nice. I like crypto-friendly nations. I like that they're all meeting up. Hopefully they're not going to be talking about anything nefarious, and hopefully that is going to be something that is going to benefit the cryptocurrency space. But this is still very good news that we actually have meetings like this going on. At least they're still trying to. I told you guys before, anytime that they don't say that they're going to ban something, I think that's great. And even more so, having countries in general that actually are okay with cryptocurrencies is always very, 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 very good in my book. Whew, I don't think I've talked this long in a while. I'm shocked at my longevity and all of this. So this is another thing from, hold on one second. It's actually like 1,500 degrees in here now, so I decided to turn on the fan. Without reading too much into this, it says Thailand is seeking ways to confiscate Bitcoin from criminals. I always am skeptical. I'm a maybe skeptical person by heart, by nature. It depends on what you define or who you define as a criminal. A lot of countries have been coming forward. We had news from Russia. We had news from a couple of, I think, one or two South American countries who have been claiming that they've been making laws that it's within their legal right to be able to put people in jail who they think have been doing inappropriate and or illegal things with cryptocurrencies. The problem is that when you have countries, not to say that this is one of them, not to say that, when you have countries that have bad track records and they throw political prisoners in prison for any particular reason, you have to worry about what the actual definition of a criminal is. Is it someone who talks about the government? Is it someone who protests? Is it someone who tries to, exercise their free right to do something? Or is it someone who's actually done something illegal, like trying to sell whatever people sell these days? Like I said, not going to read too far into it, but countries have been making it so that it's legal for them, because a lot of countries, this happened in last year in Russia. Some agency or something like that tried to confiscate money or crypto from someone last year, and I think the government actually ruled that it was unconstitutional because there were no laws about it. There were no laws in all these countries that you could actually, like, you can't do that. Like, crypto doesn't even have a legal status in this country. Like, what are you actually, like, you're taking ones and zeros from this person. Like, what are you actually taking? So as more countries get into the game and they realize that they need to modify their laws, they're going to start changing it to make sure that anyone who they deem a criminal or someone who has done something illegal, that they'll be able to take cryptocurrencies from them. And this, like I said, could be good or could be very bad depending on how you want to look at it. Just depends on what each country is, what their definition is of a criminal. My word, last up. Never been this tired in my entire life. You know what? This isn't even all the news. I have to point that out. Like, I'm not even joking. And there's still, so if all the news that I give during like a Monday through Friday, let's say that is like, I'm not tooting my own horn here. Let's say for the sake of argument that that's like level A news, and everything that I've been talking about the last, like, I don't even have the time near me, is like B news, so like the other news that's, it's not super mega significant, but it's still interesting for the cryptocurrency space or blockchain space. There's like a whole bunch of C and D news that I also didn't include inside of this. And there's still just as many, like, or even if not more, B and A news that I also didn't get to cover during this week. There's just so much happening in this space. It's really interesting how far that the cryptocurrency space has moved on. Finally, last thing for this video is one of Andy Warhol's paintings was tokenized and it was sold on a blockchain. The entire point of that is, we spoke about before, and I said this before, I hope you guys are getting it. Security tokens are going to be the thing of the future. And the entire point of this is, or rather the idea behind it is that when you tokenize something, you're not, physically throwing it at a computer or, making it digital. You kind of put, kind of like having stock or like dividing up or divvying it up, but onto a blockchain so everyone has like a legal right to be able to have some of it. When you sell things on a blockchain, you are then able to, I guess divvy it up. If you, the idea behind it is that many people don't have $100 million, but if you have, let's say, 1,000 people who all have $100,000, they can then afford, a portion of the Andy Warhol. And this is going to start happening for everything. And this is why I said, but these things are also going to be classified as securities, as you have an expectation of profit from the thing that you are purchasing. And you expect that as you are buying this thing, that there's going to be profit from it in the future. But it makes it interesting because you'll have legal claim over something, even if you've never seen it or never even touched it. You'll be able to buy it on a blockchain. You'll be able to buy a fraction of it. And should the value of it go up and you're able to see this on actual like blockchains and stuff like that over the next couple of years, you're actually then able to sell your fraction of an Andy Warhol or any other painting that you may have had to someone else. And it's all sold on a blockchain. So at the same exact time, there could be a painting in a museum and 50,000 people might actually own it. I love the idea of, what's the word? Like other forms of investments or other things that can make you money. And we are in a time right now, especially in the next 3 years when this is expected to really take off, where we're going to be able to digitize just about everything that has value, especially if you have something that is going to gain in value, or even a house or something like that. And I always use the example of like a self-driving Uber. It's all just very interesting. At least to me, that's kind of how I feel about it. I love the idea of in 3, 4, 5 different years or next years, that I'll potentially able to own 1/25 of a self-driving car that also gives me money, or I'll be able to own like a fraction, or like imagine like owning like half of a hotel room that costs like $150 a night or something like that. And every single time that someone's renting it out, like you look at your crypto account and you have $75 from having done absolutely nothing. I think it's all fascinating. I think it's all very cool. That's going to do it for this video. I actually have no idea how long I've been talking. I really wish I did. I hope you all enjoyed. I really hope you all enjoyed. I have a feeling this was a lot longer than I expected it to be. Like I said, there's still a lot more news. I will try, if I can take a nap and get a bit more energy, to kind of give you guys the rest of the news, because there's always a lot of stuff happening in the cryptocurrency space. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching and or listening, depending on how you absorb this information. Thank you once again, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.